Well, now it's time to loot with an non-stop day. It's safe to say we'll have some fun today on Geek World Radio.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Geek World Radio. So those of you who have been keeping up with the comic book movie news have probably heard a lot about the new movie coming out, Guardians of the Galaxy, or at least the little bits that they've been putting out. And one of the big questions that's probably on all of your minds is, who the f*** is StarLord?
Yeah, who the f*** is StarLord?
So there's been all of this casting news lately. Every name of a popular male actor has been thrown out saying, hey, this guy's gonna be StarLord in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. No, it's this guy, and that guy read for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like what happened with Captain America a few years ago.
Yeah, except you know what? You knew who Captain America was. You go, oh, Captain America. I've heard of that guy.
So everyone's like, I don't know. Is Joseph Gordon-Levitt the best choice? Other people are like, I don't know. Maybe John Krasinski's the best choice. And then everyone goes, but wait a second.
Who the f*** is StarLord?
And so, we are going to tell you who the f*** is StarLord. So, let's just start off with a real quick thing about Guardians of the Galaxy. So, a lot of people are like, oh, the Guardians of the Galaxy is from 1969. Well, that's only kind of true. Yes, the Guardians of the Galaxy did start in 1969. However, this version of Guardians of the Galaxy, they're from the 2008 incarnation.
Which pretty much means that the Guardians of the Galaxy from the 60s would be going, who the f*** is StarLord?
Exactly. So, the 2008 Guardians of the Galaxy, they're from the 616 universe.
Do they do this by area code?
Exactly. Well, the other ones are the 619, so there's a difference. So this movie is going to have StarLord, who is the main character, and then there's going to be Drax the Destroyer, and Gamera, and Rocket Raccoon.
Who is the greatest character ever, who I think should have his own movie personally, because if you've ever, learned about Rocket Raccoon's actual storyline, it's the craziest thing ever.
And, of course, Groot, who everyone knows as the giant freaking tree.
Yeah.
From what we learned about Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn is a perfect guy to do this, because it is completely insane.
James Gunn is pretty much the only guy that could do this and not make it into one of those terrible, video game 80s movies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this could be Super Mario Brothers all over again if it wasn't for someone like James Gunn. Basically, the Guardians of the Galaxy are there to protect all of us from intergalactic bad guys.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the DC universe, you have the Green Lanterns.
Exactly. Or the original one is sort of like Legion of Superheroes.
Right, because they were in, the
the
30th century?
The future!
So now that we've given you a very brief intro to the Guardians of the Galaxy, let's get on to trying to figure out who the f*** is StarLord?
Alright, so first off, you gotta know, there's this prince flying around in a space shuttle because he's an alien prince. He crash lands, he meets some lady, and they're like, oh, how's it going, Earth woman? And then she helps him, recover, and then she helps him rebuild his ship, and then they have some kind of, Starman-esque tryst. 9 months later, Peter Quill is born.
So Alien Dad goes back into space, and Peter Quill grows up a little, gets to be about, 11 years old, sees his mom killed by aliens. Not cool!
Not cool at all. Basically, he's an orphan, and he's got vengeance on his mind.
So he does what anyone with vengeance on the mind would do. He leaves the orphanage and gets some education, goes to college, and eventually becomes part of NASA.
I mean, that's what I would do if I had vengeance on the mind. Batman, you suck, by the way. You never ended up in NASA, did you?
No.
So he goes to NASA, and from here we really start seeing what kind of character he is. Basically, he lacks a lot of social skills.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy that basically he saved one of his fellow NASA youngsters from, a tragic accident, and then he yelled at the kid for being stupid and not being able to save himself. So already we're seeing kind of a hard-ass coming out of the StarLord character. So then from there, he ended up on a space station, and then he found out about the StarLord program. And he was like, I gotta do this, because if I can do this, then I can go and get the vengeance I need. So Homeboy jumps on a ship, goes over to this other space station, and there's another guy there who wants to be part of the StarLord program. He literally throws him out of the way, jumps in the transporter, ends up in the place to go become the new StarLord.
That's right. That's who the StarLord is.
So basically we've already established the fact that he is kind of an a-hole, right?
Yes.
And so basically his history, real quick, he goes on, he fights the first Herald of Galactus, right? And he ends up defeating him. Awesome. Unfortunately, 350,000 people die in the process. Not awesome. So he actually goes to a prison planet for life, right?
Yeah.
So while he's in jail, he gets recruited by this character named Gladiator so that he can go fight the Fallen One, who was the guy he defeated initially, and Thanos, who had gotten together. So then he goes and he fights, and he ends up becoming like a hero and stuff like that, right?
That's right. Even Thanos finding a friend couldn't help him.
Exactly. So basically he dealt with this thing called the Annihilation Wave. And then from there on, he ends up creating the Guardians of the Galaxy because he knows there's all kinds of threats out there. Now, this is where the dick part of StarLord comes in, okay?
Yeah.
Because basically, he gets the character of Mantis to essentially brainwash all of the members to actually join him as the Guardians of the Galaxy. We're talking like Adam Warlock, Gamera, Rocket Raccoon, Groot. Their headquarters is the severed head of a Celestial, which is kind of awesome.
That's, yeah.
And they basically have a bunch of exploits. They fought like this evil church in space, and they fight Thanos. Obviously, it's going to lead into the Avengers. Obviously, it'll have something to do with Thanos. It is interesting to say that initially, before we found out it was the Chitauri and the Avengers, people thought it might be the Badoon.
Right.
Now, the Badoon are the ones who took over the universe in the first Guardians of the Galaxy from '69.
So, Dave?
Yeah.
What the fuck can StarLord do?
Well, that's a great question, Anime, and I'm about to tell you. So StarLord has this special suit, right, that allows him to fly and also survive in the vacuum of space. And along with that, he also is an excellent marksman.
Okay.
He has healing powers.
Right.
He also has, like, force fields around him that also help him to defend himself.
Okay.
And he has a special memory chip implanted in his brain, so he has 100% recall abilities for all of his memories.
Plus, he had to be pretty smart to begin with since he got into NASA.
Exactly. I mean, there you go. Bonus. But also, he kind of ended up outside in space once and ended up in a black hole. And so he ends up getting a bunch of cybernetic implants so that he was basically able to live.
Which means that he does have a little more superpowers than a normal guy that was just sort of half alien being.
Yeah, so now we got a half alien, half cyborg, Machiavellian badass.
Let me give you a little bit of background on the actual creation of the character of StarLord. It was created back in the 70s by this guy named Steve Englehart. He created this character, and the point was that in the first issue, you meet this total a-hole.
Yes.
And the point was that he had this massive thinking in mind that this was going to be this expansive story where slowly he was going to learn to be a better person. He was going to become a great hero. He was going to go through all these trials on different planets and become one of the greatest heroes of the time. Well, after issue 1, which came out in one of the Marvel previews, well, Englehart left Marvel.
So now that we know a little more about StarLord, let's talk about the mountain of young actors who might be playing him.
Let's keep in mind that StarLord needs to be a bit of a dick.
If that is the version of StarLord they're doing, that's kind of the problem. We don't know yet.
Although, I haven't heard of a version of him where he's not a dick.
It's true, but I think the thing is, if Guardians of the Galaxy is meant to be sort of an attachment piece, but the sort of badass version of the Avengers, then he can be a dick. If they want to have another version of the Avengers, then he needs to be kind of a little more, like, even.
Yeah, but you know who they have to be even? Rocket Raccoon!
That's true. Rocket Raccoon is... He's got a good head on his shoulders.
He is probably the most human of all the characters, despite being a sentient humanoid raccoon.
Yeah, well, you know, you can't go wrong. He is Rocket Raccoon. This is the thing, you know, whether it be Joseph Gordon-Levitt or all these other guys that they're talking about, you're right. The main thing is... if he's going to be a dick like the character is in this, that's a whole other thing. I don't really see John Krasinski playing a total dick. I don't see Zachary Levi or, like, Lee Pace can sort of play a dick. He can. That. Yeah. But for me, it's sort of like, you know, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think they just threw him out there now because he's now A-list. You know, he's one of the guys that, like, every time anyone's trying to cast anything, his name's going to come up.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, I don't know about that. And also there might be this whole thing with him maybe being, like, Robin, Batman, whatever. But the thing is... if Joseph Gordon-Levitt was a legit choice for this, like, if they were actually trying to get him for it, if he basically played the character he played in Brick, he'd be perfect.
Right.
Because basically, I think at the end of the day, StarLord is a real Machiavellianist. You know, I mean, the guy, like, for him... the ends do justify the means. He is a dick, but at the end of the day, he's trying to protect the universe.
Yeah, I mean, if he has to literally shove a guy out of the way to become part of the StarLord program, then that's what he's gonna do.
That's what he's gonna do,
I mean, if thousands upon thousands of people have to die so that he can defeat someone, so be it.
Exactly. If he needs to brainwash some majorly powerful characters in the Marvel Universe just to create a team that he can lead into battle in space, he's gonna do it.
Because that's who the StarLord is.
That is who the StarLord is. So one more thing, Smallville's Lex Luthor himself, Michael Rosenbaum, actually tweeted that he did read for the role.
And I think he would be completely perfect for the role, especially if the character is supposed to be a dick.
Exactly. And it's really interesting, too, because if they go with the way he's usually drawn, he's going to be pretty much covered up in armor the whole time anyway. So it's going to be sort of like, it's not like Superman where you see his face all the time.
Right.
So either way, whether it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Lee Pace, Michael Rosenbaum, or someone completely different who isn't even being talked about right now, next August, you won't have to ask,
who the f*** is StarLord?
Okay, guys, well, thanks so much for watching this episode of Geek World. We'll be back next Wednesday. Don't forget, if you want to listen to our radio show, it's on every week on Indie 100 and The Point.
And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can send us an email to geekworldradio@yahoo.com and check out our website, geekworldradio.com.
Okay, guys, thanks so much. And, actually, one more thing, Anime. Who's StarLord?
I don't know.
Bye!
Well, now it's time to loot with an non-stop day. It's safe to say we'll have some fun today on Geek World Radio.